start the recording and go into the full screen. So once again, welcome everyone to the Startup Investment Open Call webinar, the last webinar of this year, because we are approaching the last cutoff date, which is going to be 29th of September, 6 p.m. Very important. Before even I start talking, I will say 6 p.m. because some of you were using in the past cutoff dates 12 in the midnight, but such applications we could not accept. 6 p.m. end of the business day is the hour when the system is closed. But I will remind you a couple of times, and probably as to leave it in the recording as well. So today I will be presenting not alone. I will present with my colleague Katarina. So we will divide the topic of this webinar into purely let's say process part and then impact part, because EIT Urban Mobility is running an investment call to find a next wave of impact startups who will transform together with us the mobility ecosystem. So let's start and let's deep dive of what investment call at EIT Urban Mobility consists of. First of all, I'd like to make a note, even before just talking about investments at EIT Urban Mobility, to highlight that we are doing many more things as Impact Ventures. So Impact Ventures is the team of 20 plus people, which is dedicated to support startups and scale-ups related to the mobility sector. When you go to our website, you could see that apart from investing in startups, we are running many programs, accelerators. This year we run 7 thematic accelerators. We are running scale-up programs for more mature startups. We're having our platform, community platform, which is called Growth Lab, that you could also find the link on our main website, as well as we are cooperating with many leading ecosystem players in the mobility sector to give access to our startups to different pilots or high-level initiatives happening at pan-European level. So investments is just a part of the ecosystem, of the landscape of our activities. But for those of you who maybe are not fundraising at the moment, or who are joining today just to explore what EIT Urban Mobility is, I would also invite you to explore our website and the full offering that we have. But of course, for the purpose of this webinar, I will focus on the third point, which is called Finance to Move, which is an umbrella of initiatives which aimed to help financially startups to grow and to expand. So in brief, EIT Urban Mobility offers up to $500,000 of financial support in European mobility ventures. I will maybe structure this presentation as yes, but, because of course you are here to get into the nuances of the call. So of course some numbers are pretty self-explanatory, but there are still some yes buts. So first of all, we do invest $500,000, but these are tickets foreseen mostly for a longer cooperation. So our first approach is up to 300,000 euros. This is called the first ticket, first check. After we have a fruitful cooperation over 12-18 months, we're usually doing a follow-on investments. Why I'm telling this just straightforward at the beginning of the webinar? Because many of you is reading our call manuals, our slides, as that we invest if you are selected $500,000. And this is always the same sum. This is always the same amount of money, regardless your stage, regardless your valuation, and so on. No, each investment is case by case. It's subject to the negotiations. It's based on your valuation, on your needs, on your fundraising, and it's up to 500,000. Yeah, and usually, as I'm saying, first stage, first check, first investment to establish the relationship is anything between 50K to 300K. Up to 500,000 is usually a follow-on investment, which happens after a couple of months or 1.5, 2 years of a fruitful cooperation, when we also check the milestones, check the progress, get to know the team, get to know each other, and together set the next checkpoints. So let's dive into yes but of the CIOC. What we are looking for. This is really important at the very beginning. And to start with, I would like to stress what EIT Urban Mobility is and what we are not. First point, EIT Urban Mobility is a public organization. Yes, but again, to some extent, you could see even at this slide, European flag and the description co-funded by the European Union. It is really important to see co-funded because we are a public-private partnership. So it means that part of our funds are coming from the EU, basically from European Commission, which brought EIT and all of its sister organizations to life, and from our private partners who are supporting us in the mission to become financially sustainable. That's why we operate more or less as a venture capital fund. It means, of course, we do not seek or we do not invest the same amounts of money. We do not seek the same returns as venture capital fund, as we are also looking for impact. So which will be later discussed by my colleague, but we do not provide grants or work as a charity organization. That's why this call is called Startup Investments. So EIT Urban Mobility invests in exchange of equity. It means that we provide you with financial support, we take a stake at your company, we are listed at your cap table, and we take a hands-on approach as your shareholder. The other question that often arrives to my mailbox, or I'm asked during many events around Europe, whether we only invest in our alumni, because we run a lot of programs, we run a lot of different initiatives. So where we first meet the startups or teams or even single entrepreneurs. That's also a myth. So we invest both in our alumni. Of course, it's a way easier because once you graduate from one of our programs, which usually lasts 6 months to 1 year, we know the team, we already sat together, we had a deep dive discussions. So more or less we know what to expect from the startup. However, this, as the example of this call, this is an open call. So any startup could apply, any team which is incorporated in EU or Horizon Europe associated countries could apply and could be invested. So this is a competitive call. Even if you are an alumni and you are participating to today's webinar, you do not have any advantage. So we are selecting the best solutions, the best teams based on the merits, based on the application form, based on the evaluation grid, which will be also discussed later. So to remind again, the Startup Investment Open Call is a continuously open call. So you could have submitted your application any time of the year, and it was divided by 3 cutoff dates. So of course, to expedite the process and to facilitate it on our side, we could not assess and compare the applications on the go. So we need to have some cutoff dates after which we take all of the applications in batches, we evaluate them, we select the best startups, and we invest. So this year we had 3 cutoff dates in May, in July, and the last one, I remind, 29th of September. And probably this will be the same approach for next year. So usually we invest in 5 to 8 startups per batch. So it means every 2-3 months, we're taking all of the applications, whatever number it is, we evaluate and we allocate the budget. The other question often asked by you, by the way, you could submit your questions in the Q&A window. I will try to take them all after my part. You have equal chances in any of the cutoff dates. It does not mean that we have more budget on the first cutoff date because it's the beginning of the year, and now in September it's just the leftovers. No, the investment strategy is done in the way that each cutoff date we invest the same amount of money. So don't worry, just try to adjust your application time to your strategy. So if you think that you need still to validate your product, to get some traction, maybe to open a fundraising round, you still can wait. It might be this cutoff date, it might be first cutoff date of 2024, it might be second, third, whatever. The chances are always the same. Of course, on our side, yeah, because we could not control the number of applications. If to some cutoff date there are 200 applications, to the other there might be 500. So of course here the chances might vary based on the number and quality of the applications, but this is on your side, and these webinars are actually to help you to understand and to encourage you to submit the applications, because the higher level, the better for the ecosystem. You could see all this information I'm talking now on our website. So you have all selection criteria, guide for applicants, and timeline on the EIT Urban Mobility website. If you open the Impact Ventures sub website, you would see information about startup investment open call. Here is also the information about the third cutoff date, which is 29th September. Who qualifies for the investment? This is a very important topic, as every cutoff date, even with our extensive campaigns, we got a number of applications and then some emails with startups disappointed with the rejection message. But this is a very open and we're very transparent about this. So we're looking for pre-seed to seed ventures. It means that the size counts. So we are looking for ventures with less than 100 employees on the payroll, full-time employees, FTEs on the payroll. Second thing is incorporation in an EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country. So you have to have a legal entity, because in case of investment, of course, we need to transfer money somewhere. And on the other note, as we are private organization, as our mission is to help and to strengthen the European mobility ecosystem, we invest in EU or Horizon Europe associated countries. The first query in Google, which countries are associated, you will find a list of, I think, right now 16 countries. So please bear this in mind, because some of you, I know that you are from other countries, other continents. You do not read, you commit your time to fulfill the application, then you might be disappointed. But this is a very important point. Then what could help you assess your readiness is our investment thesis, our focus areas, and the impact assessment. All of these documents you could also find on our website. So I really recommend you to go through all of these documents, because it will help you to understand what we are looking for and how we assess the applications. Here is the snapshot of our investment thesis, just very brief. EU and Horizon Europe associated countries, it's a geographic focus, it's clear. The target equity, 1 to 5%. It means that we are a minority shareholder. Usually we do not lead the rounds. We are not a lead investor. It's because our strategy is to invest lower tickets in more companies. This is maybe contradictory to what casual VCs are doing. They are doing usually 10 to 15 investments per year with bigger tickets. But our mission is to help the ecosystem to bloom. So we target 25, 30, sometimes even 40 investments per year. So of course, we do not have capacity to take the board seats, to lead the rounds in terms of legal capacities. So this is up to you. So you need to secure your lead investor. You need to structure your round. We are usually adhering to the round parameters, which are set by a lead investor, and then we target 1 to 5% ownership. Usually it's between 2 and 3%. One might be a very low position, but it also depends again on the valuation. As I said, the target initial investment, it's anything between 50,000 to 300. It's a first approach. Then we top up with the follow-on reserves. So as any other VC fund, we have a part of the funds for a new investment, and up to 30-40% of the funds to follow on investment. So of course we are working with our equity portfolio, and then we are keen to support them and during the ongoing next rounds. And typical pre-money valuation, as I said, we are targeting early stage companies. So typical pre-money valuation is between 2 and 15 million. The very cap is 20. Any application which exceeds 20 million is rejected. This is because with our size, with our ticket size, with our target position, we are not able to provide with very tailored support to more major companies. This is probably the point when your company is above 20 million, where you should go to the open market, talk to bigger VCs, and they will be able to help you. So just to be very open about this. In terms of our interests, here you could see the very basic grid. So we are right now having assets in 5 main, we call this thematic areas, but I would call it like, let's adjust the sectors. So it's active mobility, transport infrastructure, sustainable city logistics, energy, and the future mobility. So any solution, let's call it connectivity, 5G, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. And below each of the sectors, you could see subsectors giving you the idea of the kind of solutions we are looking for. Yeah. So in case of city logistics, it might be waste management, logistics infrastructure, logistics sharing systems, green logistics, and so on. So this is also very important, because here you could very quickly see under which subsector maybe you fall into. But of course, some of you might work on something different, and we're keen to see any kind of solution use case in the mobility ecosystem. These are just the examples reflecting on our current equity portfolio. So you might even create a new subcategory, which I also encourage you to do. In terms of the other very important point to be checked, it's an impact. We will be discussing this later. Katarina will discuss it, but just to mention, we are an impact investor. So of course we need to see that your company is impact driven. It's not a descriptive narrative in the application that you somehow can be seen as impact startup. It's that the impact actions impact is within the core of your company. So in other words, if we take the impact part, your company would not exist. That's it. So giving the example, if we have a big OEM that is working on 20 models of diesel cars, if they are producing one EV car, EV vehicle, it's not an impact company because it's one of 20. Yeah. So the type of companies we're looking for, it's an impact driven. So impact is at the very core of the solution. Everything what is being created around is about making our ecosystem, mobility ecosystem, more sustainable. And of course, very important, we're looking at the team diversity. It's a long discussion, but to make it short, there is a bunch of research that diverse teams, diverse in any kind of in any meaning of diversity, is building on the returns of the company, is more healthy in the long run, and the ventures are more competitive. So of course we are not penalizing the team if it's team of 3 people. Then sometimes it's really hard to be really diverse. But if we have a team of 20 people, a scale up, then we really look if this team is composed of different backgrounds, different genders, different ethnicities, and so on. So we look how diverse is the team under different verticals. Yeah, here I will just briefly summarize what we are looking for. So of course we are looking for well established hypotheses. So the solution that you could evince that your product, your service, your technology can work at scale. So basically, there is a number of applications which looks great on the paper, yet they are really hard to be implemented. So of course, we do not look for extensive traction, as we're an early stage, sometimes pre-seed investor. So it's not that you need to provide us with extensive list of pilots, of funding raised, of revenues. I understand that in some cases you are still even at pre-revenue stage, but at some point, at every stage that you are, we would like to see some proof, some evidence, some work behind your solution that it has a real potential. So if you are pre-revenue, at least your MVP, how you tested it, how you validated. Maybe you talk with first customers, maybe you have an early adopters base. So any measures that you could support your statements that it's not only the application, which looks nice, that it's actually the hypothesis that is being tested in some sense. Then of course, as I mentioned, we're not a sole investor in the round. Why? The explanation is pretty easy. Our ticket is not big enough. So if we invest, usually between the rounds, you should be able to have a runway of 12 to 18 months. This is pretty standard right now. There is a bit of market downturn, so it's not that easy to fundraise. So between fundraising, you should be able to survive 12 to 18 months without additional funding. That's why we co-invest with other investors, because I believe maybe in case of very, very sophisticated software services and very small teams, that 200K will give you a runway for 18 months. Otherwise, you need a bit more money. That's why we co-invest. And of course, we do not provide only financial support. As being invested by EIT Urban Mobility, you are invited to join our equity portfolio family, which is ongoing support, a tailored support by our team. You have the access to our community platform. You have the access to all our partners, events that we are present. You have help also of professionals to assess your impact, to assess different verticals of your business. So let's say investments, it's only a first step to be supported by EIT Urban Mobility. Cash is important, but sometimes network is more important, and probably some of you already experienced this in your journey. Yeah, here are maybe more of requirements here as well. So of course, we're looking for a team that is bigger than one. So of course, solo founders, 1 FTE, we do not accept. That should be clear. I mean, we do not believe, and I think any VC would believe that one person is capable of running the whole company. So even maybe the wording here is not correct. I must admit this. So the company might be founded by one person, but later it should, like this solo founder should find a complementary profiles to him, to her, that will help him to run the company. So of course, usually you have a person for marketing, you have a tech person, you have a person responsible for fundraising, and so on. So of course, very important in the application process is just to highlight who is responsible for what in your team, and also how you motivate your team to stay with you. So maybe here it's also good to remind, talking about this point, is good to remind that if you have, as a solo founder, you have a team, but you still have a 100% of shares in the cap table, the first question will be, so how you will motivate your teammates, your co-founders, your C-level to stay with you, because it's really important to attain the talent. The early stage pre-seed team is about people, and it's about execution. So if we see this very strange situation in the cap table, this is usually a red flag. So please remind about this. Maybe if you will apply in 2024, you still have time to build properly your cap table. The rest points are, I think, self-explanatory, so I will move forward. You will have the recording on the website. Here it's a snapshot of our equity portfolio. So also it's available on our website. There is an equity portfolio tab. This is, I'm showing you just in case you are interested, what types of solutions we have invested. You could see here maybe your competitors, maybe startups you could work with, because in some cases we saw in our equity portfolio a very interesting cases of cooperation. Some startups are providing very complementary products, so later they can work together, and we could really help to facilitate this cooperation. In total, 86 ventures up to today, built over 4 years, 25 countries, and in 44% cases, female profiles are either co-founders or at C-level and vested, so with shares at cap table. This is really important for us as an impact investor, and I would like to highlight this number even during today's webinar. As a shareholder, as I mentioned, there is a number of things that we could offer you, and the cash component being very important is just the first step. So of course, in brief, we work with the teams. So each region in Europe, we are divided into 5 regions. We have 5 physical offices, has the team which is capable to help you in the legal matters, in business matters, to reach out to our partners, to our investors in particular countries. So this is what we provide to our equity portfolio family. As well as, of course, we are attending to many events where we could also bring you, we could also have you give you a lot of visibility through our social media channels. Once again, and here this slide might be also needed, checkpoints of all eligibility criteria before we move to the next stage. So what I said, due date, EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country incorporation, max 20 million pre-money valuation, less than 100 employees on a payroll, gender balanced and skill diverse team, track proven or demonstrable impact, as well as innovative product, service, or business model with strong use case in the mobility sector. So once again, EIT Urban Mobility is working on innovation. We are an innovation agency, so any business model, any solution that is a copy-paste of an existing solution will be probably rejected. This is because, I mean, this kind of solutions, business models are well established, and can be easily copied by anyone. So this is the sector, this is the part of the market we do not cope with. I mean, this is more to maybe a standard VCs who would like to try out and just to capitalize on the return on investment. So in case you need to really check this couple of points, because later on it might result that you will get the rejection from us, and because of one of these points, yeah, basically. So it's really important to look into your company, your solution, your metrics, and to answer yourself the question, do I really check all of these points? If yes, you are really invited to apply. This call is for you. Then really moving really shortly to the application platform. So we do use an award force. It's a software for collecting and assessing evaluating the applications. We are using a really simple application form. You could access it also on our website. There is an attachment. You could download it. You could read through all of the questions beforehand. So you do not need to register to the platform to check the questions, to open and then delete the application. You could do this directly at our website. The application form has 23 or 24 questions, really easy questions. If you ever applied to any call, probably you will reply swiftly to all of them. I would like to make a couple of points because it's also really important, as the first stage of evaluations is done based on your application. Okay, I will quickly later go through the evaluation stages because there are two, but first stage is based on your input. So that's why please be attentive to the questions and very specific with the answers. Like in many cases, some of you are providing really copy paste of your websites, which does not provide any insights on your solution. In this case, the score will be really low because, I mean, if we do not have any insights, why to score high? Yeah. So please, it's not about providing half or 2 pages of the text, just to provide a one-liner which really explains the core of your business. Then please double check on your metrics, because it's really important to give us the real picture of your company, of your venture. So if I'm asking about the valuation, it's a really different value between 2 million and 20 million. It's just 1 0, but 2 and 20, it means a lot for a pre-seed early stage investor. The same with your current fundraising round value, number of customers, your burn rate, and so on. So surprisingly, there is only a few questions regarding metrics, and there is a lot of mistakes. So before submitting, just please review your application so the numbers are provided. I do not have time to reach out to all of you and ask whether this number is correct or not. If it's not correct, it will be assessed if it was submitted. So you are responsible to check all of the numbers. I just saw yesterday the valuation 200 million at the pre-seed. So of course this application will be rejected, and it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's on you to check all the numbers. And the other thing is just try to be honest. So the application let us understand your situation. In many cases, we provide you the feedback. Your solution is great. However, as EIT Urban Mobility, we are not able to help you. We have network of our partners. We have our own funds to invest here, but in some cases, your solution is so specific. Maybe we do not have this leverage in our network to give you additional boost. So I think today the best cooperation is based on honesty. So the more information you provide, the more feedback we can get you, so both you and we do not waste our time. Here is the very simple example. Yeah, the first answer does not give me any insights on the startup. It's just a very great copy paste of the research report that is produced by any sort of the institution which is doing the market research. Yeah, In the second answer, I know that you are a patent pending, you are working with some kind of algorithm, you are working with public transport, you can optimize something. Then I could have a couple of follow-on questions to this because it's just one sentence, but at least it sparks my interest and it gives me some insights, initial insights on your solution. As mentioned, this is the photo taken from our website, Impact Ventures Startup Investments. Here you could see the address. You will find it on easily on our website, and under this tabs you could find the attachment. So you could see the call manual, you could access the selection criteria. There are some tips for applicants, impact investment thesis, as well as the application form. So all the documents you could check right now and decide whether you would like to apply now, you would like to wait, or maybe you would like to abstain from submitting an application. It's also okay. It depends on you and on your self-assessment. So here I will thank you very much for your attention from my side, and I will leave the stage to my colleague Katarina, who will discuss and present EIT UM as an impact investor. Katarina, feel free to go.
Thank you, Mateusz. Hi, everyone. I'm Katarina. I'm the impact officer from EIT Urban Mobility, and I'm here today to give you a brief introduction to our approach to impact. Also, just to mention that in the meantime, you can put all your questions in the Q&A chat, so take advantage of this time. So what does this mean about being an impact investor? So basically, we make investments with the intention to not only, of course, receive financial return, but also to generate positive and measurable social and environmental impact. On the next slide, you'll see why we do this. So, Mateusz, please, can you skip to the next slide? Yeah, thank you. So all of the activities of EIT Urban Mobility, they serve the purpose of achieving 3 main impact goals. So the first one is we want to improve the quality of life in cities. That's one of our major targets. Then we also want to mitigate, of course, climate change. And lastly, we want the competitiveness of cities and the European mobility sector for job creation. So as you can see, all of these impact goals, they are aligned with some SDGs. But besides that, we take into account main 5 SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And we expect you as a company that are applying for our investment call that you are aligned at least with one of these SDGs, which is SDG number 7, 8, 9, 11, and 13. And we want you to clearly explain why you are aligned, what are you doing to contribute to these goals. On the next slide, we will see basically how we do these impact investments. So firstly, to clarify that we take into account ESG in a very light manner and impact in a more depth analysis. So these are 2 different things as we understand them, and we take into account both of them in different phases of our investment process. First of all, of course, in a scouting phase, we take into account if the company has a potential impact in the future, if the company might be good on the ESG concerns. But we also take into account basically what you provide during your application phase, during the application form that you provide to apply for our investment call. We take into account all the data you provide there to understand if we can make an investment in a sustainable company and in a company that can create a measurable and great impact on the environment and on the society. And of course, we then make an investment decision, either we invest in your company or not. And in case we do invest and you become part of our portfolio, we track during the investment, we track all the expected impact of your products and services, as well as very lightly. We take into account the ESG concerns. And of course, in the end, we quantify the impact creation through the investment life cycle, pre and post exit. And we understand also what were the impact or ESG improvements. But for the ones who are still a bit not aware of these concepts, on the next slide, there's a brief description. So the ESG basically stands for environment, society, and governance. So basically, this is a framework that enables us as investors to understand how a company is running their operations and how it's performing internally. So on the environment, of course, is used to measure the company environmental risks and harm to the environment. On the society side, we of course understand what are the company's relationship with the different stakeholders, and of course the aim is to improve the overall impact on the society. And finally, the governance, of course, refers to the processes of reporting, of running the business, of decision-making within the company. So we take into account the ESG in a very light manner, but we do take into account more in depth the impact side. So on the next slide, when we talk about impacts, what we do is we focus on understanding what's the impact or potential impact of your products and services in main 4 categories. So these are the society, knowledge, health, and the environment. So we understand what's the positive and negative impact of your products and services in these 4 dimensions. And what you're seeing here now in the screen, it's basically one of our example reports that we currently have and we are running in our equity portfolio companies. So we are measuring the impact post-investment, and we do share this kind of reports with you. So this is a very useful case. So you can use this kind of reports to share with potential clients, share with your team, and especially for fundraising purposes. So on the next slide, you will understand a bit why I'm mentioning these fundraising purposes, because basically you can find here a study done by Morgan Stanley. And basically what we can find here is that 84% of investors are pursuing or considering to pursue ESG integration in their investment process. 60% of those they began doing in the last 4 years, and 78% they seek to align to the SDGs. So clearly we understand that simply saying that you are a sustainable business isn't enough anymore. You have to prove it. And a lot of investors nowadays, they are requiring these ESG or impact reports to startups in order to analyze their potential investments. So it's kind of crucial for you to start thinking about impact and ESG in case you haven't done so, and try to include this in your pitch deck, in the application for our investment call. So do take into account that we care about impact and ESG. So we kind of support also all the companies in our portfolio to report on impact. We provide this kind of solution that I provided, that I showed in the slide before. So it's a kind of a benefit from our side too. And yeah, so basically to finalize all the resources, again, they are available in our website. So you can have a look at the guide for applicants, and also you can find everything about the application process in our website, as Mateus mentioned before. So I guess from our side, that's everything. Maybe we could have a look on the Q&A chat, Mateus.
Yes, I will just stop sharing my screen a while, and then we just could have a look at some questions. Still, we have some time, of course. Yeah, I'm happy to take any questions via our mail, investments@EIT or feel free to connect with us over LinkedIn. Before moving to questions, a timeline, which might be also really important to you. So once again, the deadline is 29th September, 6 p.m. set, so Central European time. From there, we need more or less 4.5 weeks for the first stage of the evaluation, which is the online evaluation. We do a due diligence, then the proposals are evaluated by also external experts coming from different VCs we partner with. So there is a full transparency for the evaluation, and there is a report produced from the evaluation. So this is really important, and maybe sometimes we are, let's say, accused of being really slow, but you do not get the yes no answer, which does not help you in anything. You get a report, an evaluation report, where we try to provide you with feedback. What is your strengths? What we see as maybe a lack? What maybe we would like to see that is improved, either in your application process or in your company solution itself. So it takes us 4 weeks more or less to do this. For those who are qualified, so we do have 12 spots into the second stage, which is live pitching session. So after this 4 weeks, we give you 1 week to prepare. So after 5 weeks from the deadline, 12 of you, probably 10 to 12, depends on the timeline, depends on the number of applications and quality. We are having an online pitching session where you pitch to, again, external evaluators, high level individuals coming from the VC ecosystem. So they are hearing your pitches, they are once again evaluating you, and they are giving us a feedback of what they think about your business, about your pitch, about your solution. And based on this second stage, we have a third stage, which is internal. We look at all of the evaluations. We look at our investment thesis. We look about our current equity portfolio, so to build a balanced equity portfolio. And then we take the decision. So the full process from the cutoff date to the last decision of yes, you are invested, is taking more or less 2 months. It's long, but it's very deliberated. We do things really, we try to do things really properly, and to build a real portfolio that is led by impact, and which is diversified in terms of geography, solutions, and so on. So once again, 4.5 weeks for the first stage, then 12 of you will be pitching. Then after pitching session, we still need 2.5 weeks to discuss internally to make the final decision. That's why it's 2 months. So this is about the timeline. Now I will stop basically sharing my screen, and let me look at some of the questions. Yes, first question, Jeffrey, earlier cutoff. This is the same as this one. So earlier cutoff dates this year was the same. First stage, second stage, internal stage. So you should be able to know something by now. If you haven't had any email, or maybe it was missed, or it landed in your spam box, it means that you have been not selected, because even in July cutoff date, we're already post investment committee session. So this live pitching session of top 12 companies already took place. So just please review your maybe spam box. Okay, there is another question from Tom about finishing the master, about degree industrial. You have an idea, but still you do not have any other developments. I would give you the name. Please type into Google EIT Urban Mobility Jump Starter. This is the program meant for non-incorporated companies. So of course, very important, we do invest in incorporated, in legal entities. Even at pre-seed stage, there should be some traction, there should be team in place. You should be able to provide us with some justification that you work on this solution, even if it's not yet on the market. For any other types of solutions, like very early stage, the idea stage, you still need some validation. I really recommend you to go through our programs, because our accelerators, there is a jump starter, which is even an ideation phase where individuals could join, and we team you up. So basically, if you don't have an idea, you also can join there. Maybe you will find your teammates or a founder who needs a team. Yes, so we have a couple of other initiatives that it would be great if you also make use of. So the financial support is meant, as I mentioned, incorporated startups. You are already working on something to have some outputs of your work. Yes, it's a lot. There are some questions about July cutoff date and the feedback. I think this is, let me rephrase it. The process for July is almost done, so either you should have the answer in your mailbox, or if you missed it, I will tell you that we're after the pitching session, so you were not being qualified to the second stage. UK companies, guessing UK companies need to wait for next year? Question from Craig. No, you do not need to wait. Actually, there are some bilateral agreements between UK and EU, so UK is eligible to apply to our investment call. There is some cap in terms of the amount we can invest, but this cap is not maybe that important for the first investment. In terms of follow-ons, maybe we should structure it a bit different, but next year probably the situation will change, as you mentioned. Yes, Mohammed, your question, or I will read the question. If startup receive a no in one of the application, will EIT directly tell us there is no interest from EIT or specific milestones should be met? This is what I mentioned. You will receive an evaluation report, and then from there you could see what are the parts of your business, what are the parts that external evaluators, not only us, because for the transparency purposes, we also check it with externals, what they did not like, why maybe you score a bit lower. And once again, let me underline that this is an application process. We need to select. It's a competitive call. We need to select some startups for the second stage. Then we need select startups to invest in. But it's not that your solution is bad or wrong, bad or good or bad. Sorry. It's just sometimes we are not able to help you. We do not have enough capacities to help you. Sometimes it's not aligned with our investment thesis. Sometimes we do have enough similar solutions in our equity portfolio, and by the meaning of diversifying our portfolio, we are looking for different solutions. Yeah. So even if we say no to you, the other VC, the other investor could say, yes, your solution is excellent. So please do not read our feedback or our no as my solution is bad or my solution is good. Please take it as my solution fits to EIT Urban Mobility, or my solution does not fit to EIT Urban Mobility. And later we could also discuss why it fits or why it does not fit. Another question is about the leading role and whether you should secure another lead investor. So basically, you do not need to have a lead investor secured before applying. Of course, the fundraising is very dynamic process. Sometimes even investor says yes, but then he or she, like it changes its opinion. Yeah, the leading investor. We saw a lot of withdrawn investments in the past year. This is market volatility. So the more capital we have, a questions in the application form. How many are you aimed to fundraise? How many has been secured? How much has been secured due date? And so on. So of course, the more you have secured now, if you straight example, you are raising 1,800,000 is secured. So it means that if we invest 200,000, your round is complete, and you're fine to go. This is really a tempting case here for us because we're just jumping. We close your round, and you can work 18 months on your solution. On the other hand, you could just open your round. You could target 1 million investment, and nothing is secured. So it's a bit of tricky case because of course, if we invest 200,000, you still need to find 800,000 on the market. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. In this case, of course, we can also invest because, as I mentioned, we evaluate application on its merits as well. So the financial aspect is important. It's important whether you have co-investors or not. But if the idea is strong enough, we are able to invest in with SAFE. It's a simple agreement for future equity. So basically, we sign a term sheet, we sign an investment agreement, and we convert our investment to equity as soon as you will have the round in place, as soon as you complete your next round. But just bear in mind, as I mentioned, that sometimes our ticket might be too little. So if we are the only to invest, it might be not enough for you to survive until the next fundraising. So of course, if you have any co-investor, it's seen as an advantage for you. Yeah, there is other question about the order, like could we be the first investor and other investors can be approached when you confirmed, or should the rest of the investors team be in place before approaching you? There is no wrong answer to this question. Again, probably you are talking to many investors in the same time, and many investors are also giving you reply. If they invest, we also invest, and on the other way around. So please, I mean, try to secure your investors, and of course, like, please do not play the cards that first you secure investment from us and then you will be telling to the other investors that we're investing, so they also should invest, because this is maybe not how you should proceed. You should be invested based on the merits of your application, the strength of your solution, not that one investor is investing in your solution or not. This is maybe just my side comment to this. How many applications do you typically get per batch? I mentioned, yes, I mentioned an exemplary number, but usually per batch we got anything from 120, if I remind correctly, to 200 applications. This is per 3 months. So out of this, 12 are going to the second stage. So then you can count our deal flow. So it's more or less 10%. Okay, the other question, Amir, you just asked a lot of questions, but this is what all I discussed about the max funding we do. Do we do follow-on investments and so on? I will recommend you to watch again the webinar if you join a bit late. Okay, how to apply for pilot funding? This pilot funding, which I showed, it's another type of call. So today we're discussing open startup investment open call. Pilot funding is meant for our equity portfolio startups. So we facilitate our equity portfolio startups access to pilots, industry pilots, or city pilots. Basically, the first step is to become our equity portfolio through this call. Should companies active in one of our accelerators be still apply via the open call, or should potential investments be handled inside the scope of the accelerator? Yes, if you participated to any of our program, you should still apply to this call. We are working to set up a vehicle where you could be invested via fast track, yet it's still not in place. So all kind of applications, whether you participated in accelerator, scale up, or any other type of program where EIT logo is in place, you should apply through this call and this application form. This is the way for us also to understand your current metrics. So from participating in accelerator 2022 or 2021, many things could have changed. So submitting right now, I could know where you are exactly at the moment and what are your business metrics. Is it possible to make a slight change to an already submitted application? It's not possible. Submissions are locked at the moment. In the past, it was possible, but then some of you made changes after the application and then claimed that that you did this change during the application period. If you want to make a change, please send me a direct message. I will actually reopen your application, so I will make it in progress. So you need to submit it again, but with the fields that are already pre-filled. So we could handle it on site. In order to be eligible for submission, kindly inform me how long should the startup be active. This is one of the questions. There is no certain let's say guidelines about this. Of course, if your incorporation happened 2 months ago, there is a question: how much have you been able to do in 2 months, unless you were working on your idea without incorporation. Yeah, so please bear in mind that all the recent incorporations, very recent incorporations, would meet this question: why are you incorporated only 2 months ago? What was your journey before? How you legally structured your startup? Who is on board and who is not, and so on. If it comes to the cap, I would say we usually invest in startups which are younger than 10 years. It's not a rule. It's not an eligibility criteria. But if your startup is incorporated in 2010 and in 2023 you are still looking for seed funding after 13 years, it means that over 13 years you were not being able to validate your idea and to raise a seed round. This is a red flag, of course. So please bear in mind. Of course, there are different stories. Sometimes startups are pivoting. Sometimes you are using your old company to work on the new idea. That's why it's not a strict kick-out criteria. You could still submit, but then in the application form, please provide us with the explanation why the company is existing for so long and you are still looking for your first funding. As mentioned, there might be many reasons, but if we do not know them, we assume that you were unsuccessful to validate your idea on the competitive open market. Okay, I think these are the most important questions I could skim through. We're slightly over time, so thank you for the participation today. And I look forward to your applications through our first platform. If you have any question, as mentioned, please reach out either to our generic mail, investments.eiturbanmobility.eu, or directly to me or Katarina via our LinkedIn profiles. Having said this, wishing you a great Monday and then the rest of the week, and hope to hear or meet you very soon. Thank you very much.